This is the Bar Steward's Enquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry weekend podcast. And this weekend podcast is all about the flat is back. We have Doncaster, the William Hill Lincoln. I still call it the William Hill Lincoln. It's probably not. In fact, it's not been the William Hill Lincoln for ages. But we've got Kempton, the Queen's Prize. It's all spring fair, and this is what we love. And then Dubai, the Dubai action out there in the sandpit, the World Cup, etc. And we've got two small little races at Kelso, national hunt thing where horses fall over each other and things like that. We don't want any of that. But anyway, right. Joining me tonight is my crack panel, and we've got the Naps Table winner, Quentin Franks. Good evening, Quentin.
Evening, Lee.
Good evening. And the runner-up in the Naps Table, and certainly gave Quentin a run for his money to say he joined the road show quite late. Nev Lender. Good evening, Nev.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. And obviously myself and John, as always, John of John Joe's Bog Spot, are joining the rabble to see if we can mark your cards and provide you with plenty of profit and winners. Just like the last weekend where everyone was posting slips of winning Trixies from the 3-point bets last week that all were successful. So what do you think, chaps? Can we live up to that sort of level?
Hopefully.
Now before we start, Neville, tomorrow you'll be wanting a good night's sleep tonight because you've got a runner in a final on the telly box tomorrow.
Yeah, 4.5 hours in the lorry each way. Yeah. But it's too good a prize not to go for. Demi Sang, I think he's got a reasonable chance of running. He's pretty reliable. He'll run his race. Whether he's good enough off his present mark, we'll find out tomorrow. But he's had a nice break, and I wouldn't want to be taking any other horse up there in the race. Fortunately, it looks like that horse that won at Musselburgh this afternoon is not going to take his chance tomorrow, so that increases our chance. But I'm very happy with him, and if it would have been at Sedgefield or maybe Wetherby, I'd have been happier, because I think two mile 5 round Kelso might just be stretching his stamina, but the ground's drying out, so it'll make it an easier 2 mile 5.
Yeah,
good chance.
The promising Jack Hogan in the plate taking the 7 off. So a good luck, Nev, with that tomorrow, and I hope it's a nice day for you up there. Right. First of all, then, chaps, we'll do the best bets before we go on to previewing the meat of the action. I'm gonna get us going this week, and I'm gonna get us going on the right note with a real positive bet. 2 of my bets come in both Lincolns this week. I'm bouncing that much that I'm tipping in. I've got to try and find the winner of over 50 horses in 2 races. How about that, as Jimmy Savile used to say? But my 1 point bet is Ransom in the 4:16. That's the Irish Lincoln. And I am very, very keen on this horse's chances. This used to be trained by the Barbadian Baron at Freemason Lodge. And a lot of horses have come out of Freemason Lodge and improved and done rather well. And this would not be the first example of that. And I do believe that given the nice float up at Dundalk, which was there for all to see, 1 flick of the whip, vast improvement, I think is forthcoming. It's a bad draw in 28, but we can't have everything. And I'm convinced that this horse is going to win some nice races this season. So off 88, which I think is very workable. They thought a lot of him at Stouts. And I do think this horse is overpriced at 16-1. And I'm going to go on the nose with this because it's one of those, it might get a really rough trip. And then you wouldn't want the each way money anyway. So I'm going to go 1 point win, Branson, to win the Irish Lincoln tomorrow at 16-1. Cheers. I'll come straight on to you, Neville, for your 1 point bet.
Okay, my third best bet for the weekend is in the 4:38 at Stratford. It's a 2 mile, 6.5 furlong handicap, and there are 8 runners, of which half the field are either no good or can be scratched fairly readily. The one that it came down on is a horse that hasn't won since October the 20th of 2020. But he's only had about 8 or 9 runs since then, so he's not been over-raced. The horse is called Grand Sancy of Paul Nicholls, and I think it's quite easy to make excuses for his last 2 efforts. He raced very keenly and blundered and knocked himself out of the race in the Sky Bet chase last time, and at Ascot he just didn't go that way round. He jumped left throughout and forfeited many lengths. So we'll ignore those last 2 runs. Prior to that, he'd finished 4th at Newbury in I think it was the Peter O'Sullivan chase, where several horses wore the black and gold of the late commentator. He ran off 139 then. The handicap has been kind. They've dropped him £7. He now runs off 132, which would be the lowest mark he's ever run off over fences. The drying ground should help him. And I think in a weak race from a yard that have hit form this past 14 days or so, I'm quite strong on him. Grand Sancy, 4:38, Stratford.
Good stuff. 7-2 available, and 1 point win for Nev there. Good luck with that, Nev. Grand Sancy for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden. Hope that does the business for you. John, I'm coming to your third best bet, please.
A bit funny one. It's in the 306 at the Curragh. And I mean, the strange thing about this race is an old pal of ours running in this called Boundless Ocean. Jim must be dripping wet over this, wanting to get him out this quick. He likes running him a lot, so he'll probably be running midweek as well. If he cast him around that for last year. But I'm actually taking him on tomorrow.
No, can't have that.
Yes, I'm all over Messy Jessie with Admiralty Place lugging 10 stone 7 against this horse, and it's a 20-1 poke. This is a very strange sort of horse. This started his career in 2020 in Ireland, had a run in a maiden down the field, then popped up at Compagne in the French provinces last year, having a run for TF Gouillard or something. Jessie must like what she's got her hands on now, which wouldn't be the first time we've heard that. She's actually stuck this one in the Gladness Stakes in a couple of weeks, which I take as hugely significant, given the horse's profile. There's on what it's shown, there's absolutely no justification whatsoever for that entry. This could be a sighter. She could be looking for a handicap mark. If she was, why stick her in the Gladness? First run since being gelded, and I have no worries over the likely yielding ground. I think this is very interesting and reasonably good value, and I think we can go with half a point each way at 20s.
Okay, half a point each way at 20s then for John on Admiralty Place. You don't think this has got the French carrots, do you, John? The big drugs raid in France over the last few days.
I think it's where we just got used to the feed at Jessie's. And
the Kildare feed, yeah.
That has possibly flourished. You know, the funny thing is, there's one running in the 8:30 tonight at Dundalk as well, of Dermot Wells, that it has a kind of similar profile. I was fishing through some entries of the Gladness Stakes. That one ran in a maiden last year for Shadwell. Dermot Wells trained it then. He's got it off Shadwell where he's carried on with it. He stuck it in the Gladness Stakes. They put it in at 4-1 last night for this maiden tonight at Dundalk. It's now 6-5.
Come racing. There we go.
Exactly.
Well.
So I think it's a fair angle to look at these, and as I said, I just have a sneaking fancy this, even if not tomorrow. I think it's of interest to keep an eye on.
Good stuff, mate. So Admiralty Place for John, half each way in the 306 at the Curragh tomorrow against Nasty Jim's favourite. Okay, Quentin, come on to your third best, please.
It's good to have Turf back, but I'm going to Wolverhampton for my third best bet. I try and poach a lead in the Naps table by going for some all-weather scrap. So my third best bet comes in the 4.55 at Wolverhampton. I'm going to have my 1 point on UAE 50, who's trained by Alice Haynes. They ran him £9 wrong at the weights last time out in a 0-85 at Lingfield, and he kind of shaped respectively. He ended up a bit wider than ideal, bumped around the bend, kept on well enough in the circumstances, and clocked a fair time. It was his previous run at Kempton that caught the eye. He was slightly outpaced at the top of the stretch, but plugged on strongly enough, and it's a race that's worked out for the grade. The winners, McQueen, was unlucky back at Kempton. A Day in Your Life placed behind McQueen in the subsequent start, and then clocked a good time when winning at Wolverhampton 2 starts after that. Midget on the Mission, the third horse, racked up a couple of wins and still looks to be on the upgrade. He's got a couple of figures on the clock that suggest he's better than a mark of 48. He's been put in at 15-2 in a place, and that looks slightly overpriced to my eye.
Good stuff. UAE 50 for Quentin's third best at 15-2, which will probably go 15-8. especially if Wiggums isn't off. The Storm asset. There's another tricky one in there. None Such Lad, ridden by Gordon Bennett. That's 4-1 second in. That one was sort of unlucky in running and gambled on last time, but I thought that was sort of an interesting runner. But Quentin's loves the 15-2 and. Take that. If you've listened to that, get on. That's Quentin's third best for his 1 point win at 15-2. Thank you very much, sir. I shall swiftly move to the 2 point bets and the second best. Back to you, Neville.
My second best bet for the weekend is again at Stratford. It's the 143 race, and it's a horse that is trained by Evan Williams called Court Royale. I mean, he holds little secrets from the handicapper, but the thing that really swung it for me was the fact that there's only 4 in the race, and his last run has worked out incredibly well. He chased home a horse of Nick Williams is called Drasil. He only went down by three quarters of a length. He has been put up £2 for that, but I think more interestingly is the fact that the third horse was Rose C. Haas, who has won since. The fourth horse was Zalvados, who has run really well subsequently, and the sixth horse was Mystical Clouds, who was also franked the form by winning. It's a horse that goes on the ground. The trip is ideal. There are no negatives for him. Again, he probably holds very few secrets from the handicapper, but then again, so too do his rivals. And I'm looking at the Racing Post website, and it tells me that he's third favourite, which seems rather surprising. I think he'll probably go off favourite. But Court Royale, I'm very keen on him. 143 Stratford.
Good stuff. But you're right there. The Racing Post, they were after a bigger price. The Racing Post writers. It's 2-1 fav with William Hill. It's only 7-4. We bet 365. So 2-1 is your.
Is that 140% book though?
I'm just like, I'll add it up now. 33, 64, 90. It's 112, 13. It's not bad.
That's acceptable for them.
Yeah. 2-1 bottle. For Neville for his 2 point win on Court Royale in what looks a fairly winnable race. Agree with Nev there. There's Elkstone never wins. When Elkstone wins, it's a bad day for in running layers when Elkstone pops his head in front. So Neville hopeful there with his 2 pointer. John, I'm swinging straight back to you after your left field first selection. Any more left fielders, John?
this isn't particularly left trail. This is in the 320 at Maydam. And it's Mo Hafeth, our old mate, who sent Ian Davis skin last year. Now, as we know, we've got certain doubts about Mo Hafeth, but I actually think this is an ideal starting point for him because there's a good sized trail there, and I think they're going to go like Stink, which will suit this horse. The two defeats at the end of last year, where he was on the face of it a little bit disappointing, I always felt he was probably just free enough in them both to maybe run a bit of the finish out of him anyway. This race, I think he'll travel into this nicely. I think the 9 furlong trip might be absolutely perfect as well. Lord North would be a big danger on back form, but I didn't see a lot there the other day when he ran.
He was like a woolly mammoth, John. He got more hair on him than Ron Jeremy.
Yeah. And I think it's a bit of a leap of faith to say he could come on enough from that to produce his absolute best, to be honest. I don't think...
Yeah, that's fair comment.
You know, I think you'd maybe be thinking Ascot time as regards getting that horse to absolute concept pitch. Yeah. Whereas, as we know, the shirt will have had this working like buggery with Alenka, who beat Lord North last time, didn't he? I think they've always had an eye that this horse is a bit better than Alenka myself. And as I say, I think it's an ideal starting point. I'm sure the yard will get off to a flyer this season. And I think he's very solid for the frame anyway. So I am fannying it a bit. I'm going each way, just in case he fannies it a bit. But I really, really can't see him out the money.
Okay, doke. So, John, each way, one each way, for an each way wanker bet. At four places, 150 odds, 6-1 with Denise Kurtz. More going to her 385 million on Mohafeth there for John's second best. Right, I'll come to who shall I go next? Shall I go me or shall we go Quentin? Have I done Quentin? No, Quentin. I've done Quentin's second best, so Quentin next, yeah.
I thought it was interesting that he's had Mohafeth. They've removed one testicle from him. He had a high testicle, so they got rid of that in the off season. Hopefully it can make him perform better. I think I saw that earlier in the week or something. So maybe that will help, but it does look like 9 furlongs will suit him. Anyway, back to all weather scrap. My second best bet comes in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton. I'm going to put up the Kilt Train Gangway. It's the time of year where you see the 3-year-olds kind of progress past the ones that have been on the all-weather, like physically just the better types that have been given a break. And I thought he was a type to progress as a 3-year-old. He travelled through his races well last year, but wasn't seeing things out. They started him in a Class 2 at York, then ran him at Sandown. He travelled, but it was too weak to finish off his races. He's tall, unfurnished type, plenty of scope. Caught the eye from a visual point of view. His mark 62 looks fine. He went through the race like a well-handicapped horse at Kempton. He got dropped £3 for that run. He was hampered significantly. He got his back legs taken away from him and ended up finishing in the rear of the field. The blinkers are off, the knackers are off, and in a race where there looks to be absolutely no pace at all, I'm hoping Franny Norton gets a solo. Step up in trip should suit on breeding at least, and he is 10-1, I think. Yeah, 10-1. I had him a lot shorter than 10, so my second best bet of the weekend.
A lovely, well worked out bet that Quentin. Like the angles, like you said, the headgear off is always a good angle sometimes for certain horses, and obviously gelding, etc., could bring about a lot of improvement and the learn pace. 3 angles there for you at 10s as well for Quentin's 2-point win. That's we bet 365 in Hills at the time of recording. So good luck with that, Quentin. Myself, I'm going in the Lincoln. So this is the second of my 2 Lincoln bets, the big double. big double weekend. Yes, I like Modern News. It'll come from Dubai with the carrots, it's got the good apprentice Harry Davis, etc. I like that, but 7-2, 4-1. It'll improve for the mile because the brother improved for a mile. You could see this will improve for a mile also. Everything I like about it, I think Modern News will go off favourite. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. But at that price, I'm prepared to look for something different. And I really like a horse in here called Rogue Bear, ridden by David Egan, the Dubai World Cup, not the Dubai, the big Saudi Arabian winner on Mishrif, and I like David Egan a lot. I think he's a great pilot, and he gets on well with this horse, and I think that's important because Rogue Bear has been winning the last twice around Nottingham, which is notoriously difficult to win over the mile coming from the back. There wasn't an excess of pace on in either race that he won, and he still managed to get the job done and do it well. And the thing is, he has his own way. He's quirky. He hangs. And then he, but he's got a lot of ability, this horse, a lot of hidden ability. And this is the type of horse that'll end up 3 figures because he disguises everything. There's nothing straightforward about him. And I like him for a race of this type because they'll go a good gallop, and he'll be buried, and he'll be coming late on the scene. And 16-1 and 14-1 is absolutely enormous. I've no idea how they've come to this price because, like I said, the form of the Nottingham wins to do what he did with the sectional upgrades, etc. It's some performances. I think he's just been a little bit missed by the market. So Rogue Bear for me as a 1 point each way bet. You can get 6 places. We'll have some of that. Why not? I'll each way wanker as well at 16s. I'll be fair to the producer. 14-1 because the 6 places are only available at 14-1. So we'll have the 6 places. Why not? It is a deeper race than last year for people like in Brunch, horses like that. So just bear that in mind if you're fancying something from last year, because the 3 at the top of the market are all highly progressive. So I do think you've got to respect them. That's why they are at the top of the market. But Rogue Bear is certainly not respected in the market and should have certainly more respect and be shorter. Okay, so that's the 2 pointers done. John, I'm swinging straight back round to you for your best bet.
I'm probably asking for trouble here because I'm taking on your Irish Lincoln horse.
Oh, good.
And I'm going with Radobag, formerly of Roger Varians, and now with Mr. Murta. He's a bit tidy in these big handicaps. You don't need to be Christian to cast your mind back to the Eber last year and others, and he has that particularly annoying thing of still saying, "Oh, you love this game," every time he has a fucking winner. But in order to make that bearable, I've decided to have a few quid on this tomorrow. I get the feeling that this one might have had his wind tweaked because he's going with the tongue tie tomorrow. Because his form did tail off a little bit for Roger Varian, even though he probably didn't have his ground exactly as you'd want. There should be no worries on the ground tomorrow. As I say, the Murta handicap record, I think it's quite significant that he's running here first time up and tongue-tied. He could have gone anywhere for a sighter with this and maybe laid it out for the Hunt Cup or something like that, But I think the fact that he's coming straight here, he probably thinks he's got this thing in a fairly positive tune at the minute. The other one I liked in the race was Star of Kershell. That's come crashing down the weight since its heady days with Fozzie Stack, and I think that's the most interesting of the Ado McGuinness plethora of runners in the race. But I'm sticking with Radobag, and I'm going 1.5 points each way. So I'm each way up to the gunnels tomorrow.
so we'll give you 1.5 points each way. Radobag 10-1, 6 pegs. A pleasure. So that's John's maximum, 1.5 points each way. Radobag. Good luck, John. but not too much luck. I hope that I win and you come second, and as always. And we move on to our next best bet, and I'm going to come to you, Quentin. I bet this is more sand action from you for a 3-pointer.
Yeah, net landed there. I'm going to stick with your weather. I'm heading to Kempton for my best bet of the weekend. It comes in the 4:30. I wrote in my all-weather musings column that I thought War in Heaven was at least a 90 rated horse on the back of his win at Leafy mid-Feb. He gets a chance to bump up the rating here. He's off 78. It's like I've absolutely no doubt this horse is 90 plus on the sand. He reared as he left the stalls last time out, still shows signs of greenness, but put in some swift closing sectionals to run down Little Prayer, I think it was.
Yes.
£3 rise is light, but he can't do any more than that, the handicapper. 7 furlongs here will suit, as will Kempton, slightly longer straight. He looked awkward going right-handed round the bend at Lingfield. Run style fine, breeding on the dam side, he'll get the longer trip. I've got no issue with that. Haley Turner replaces Probert, which is a negative, but he still rates the best bet of the weekend, even factoring in the jockey downgrade. Competition-wise, doesn't look a deep race, to be honest. My Dabawi's kind of been seeing the best effect from the front in steadily run races. Gold medal, I'm not really too sure about the 7th furlong, and the favourite in that race was Green. Lord Vader, I think this is one step above his pay grade, despite the Guineas entry he held. So yeah, War in Heaven 15-8 is a lot bigger than I made it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying about War in Heaven in terms of like potential rating scales. I do agree with you. I think this will go right up the grades. What I did think, though, this race did have a little bit of depth to it. I thought Lord Vader as well, Quentin, showed a big sectional time, I think, a couple of starts ago. That could be interesting, yeah. It was Lingfield when it was second. Or was it? No, it was Kempton. No, it was Kempton.
Kempton
up the
second,
rail when it was second. Yeah, it was second.
Yeah, and the third one since from that, yeah.
Yes, yeah, so I mean, I thought it was a really hot 3-rib, but I agree with you. War in Heaven's definitely at the top of the list, so good luck with that. 3 points for Quentin at 15-8. We bet 365. Probably will go off a bit shorter. It's a 3-year-old race to follow that, though. I would recommend anyone watches that for early season 3-year-old handicap form. So good luck, chaps, with that. Okay, my best goes in the 240 at Kempton, which is in the Queen's Prize. And I just cannot see Bandinelli beaten. This horse for me is my Ebor sort of fancy for later in the year. I think this is the type of horse that would thrive in an Ebor off a mark of like 105, 106. It's off, 95 today. Should make mincemeat of these, really. It's a horse that needs a good gallop. It's very unexposed at 2 miles. It sort of struggles to quicken. It gallops at a high cruising speed, but struggles to quicken. So the last time he was over 2 miles, he had to make his own running, which wasn't ideal, especially as at Kempton, which is quite a difficult thing to do over the 2 miles here. And he managed to get the job done, which impressed me because I'm thinking, you've got the stones to do that. And I think with a better gallop, just something to lead him and probably go just that little bit quicker. I just think Bandinelli we have not seen anywhere near the best of. I think it's a much better horse than any of these. These are just going to be handicappers. That's it. This will be an Ebor stroke stakes horse, and Bandinelli's a complete banker. So 7-4, bet 365. 3 points on the nose to get back my disastrous possible Lincoln bets.
Would you get 3 points on with bet 365?
No.
You might get a point on, might you?
0.3 points win with bet 365 for anyone out there with a suitable account to take the 7-4. Otherwise, it's get in the back of the queue like the rest of us and take the 11-8 tomorrow. So Neville, I'm coming to you now to blast us out of the water with your 3 points.
Well, I must apologise in advance because my 3-pointer is only going to be around the 2-1 mark, but the fields are pretty small over the jumps tomorrow, and the ones that have got reasonable sized fields do look dreadfully difficult handicaps. But I'm going to go to Kelso again in the 245 for the course specialist Big River. He's ran 12 times at Kelso and he's won 8 of those, which is an incredible statistic. His last 3 runs have all been at the same track. He's won 2 of them. And last time out, he was probably running against slightly better opposition when only 4th, but he didn't run that badly. Nutswell, who won the race, is a superior animal to Big River, and he was only 12 lengths behind him. He's a horse that goes on the ground. These rivals look difficult to predict. Potterman, we all know what happened in the Bet365 chase last year, but he hasn't shown much form of late. He pulled up on his last 2 starts, and the handicapper hasn't exactly been dropping him down too quickly. He runs off a rating of 147. He has only been dropped £1 since his last chase run, which was in the Ladbroke. Empire Steel almost certainly needs softer ground. It might well be that it'll take Empire Steel out if the ground dries out too much, but at the moment he's in. And Rose Dobbins' Rathan Lur has got a bit to prove, having shown very little on both his starts this season. So Kelso's course specialist Big River, I think he's got a banker look to him for Lucinda Russell, and I'm making it, although he's a 12-year-old, there's going to be no improvement there. And again, we know exactly how good he is, but he saves his best for Kelso, and he's my banker of the weekend. Well, he is my banker of the weekend. I would swap all my 3 selections for another horse winning at Kelso tomorrow, but we'll go with Big River.
Good stuff. 5-2 now. They've got Empire Steel as on the tissue at 13-8. 5-2 for Big River with the outstanding course record, and of course Tom Scudamore in the plate tomorrow. And I wish Nev's selection all the best there at 5-2 with his 3 points. Certainly a bigger price than mine and Quentin's. So we move on to the TV affairs and all the other racing that's happening somewhere in the Middle East. Sort of go through action as per. So we'll come to Doncaster, where we start off with the unraced 2-year-olds. I can pass on a message I've had for Beach Breeze of Mark Johnston's. It's very small. It's very hardy, very fit, and very fast. So it could be one of those, like cannonballs out of the traps, bang. And then it's one of those. It's whether it's good enough. You've absolutely no idea with unraced 2-year-olds. Anybody, any information or any fancies in the Brocklesby?
Well, apparently this horse, Robin Brislands, has been all the rage from 20-1 down to around 4-1, according to a reporter from the Racing Post. But it cost just 1,500 quid, and my guess is that it'll probably drift out. Who knows? The Brocklesby has got a history of throwing up good horses, surprisingly. In fact, didn't Pat Edry win it with an Italian Group 1 winner a few seasons back? No doubt a good horse will win it, but God, you'd have to be crazy to want to get involved, unless you know something that... but then again, if you know something, what about the other 12 runners in the race? Who knows? It's a crazy race to bet in.
I mean, Eve Johnson Houghton won it last year with Chipotle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Chipotle as the.
What was that Edry horse called? Storm something, wasn't it? When the Irish won a Group 1 in Ireland. In Italy later on.
John, any clues on that?
No.
No.
Or maybe it was just in my imagination.
Mr. Elephant Memory is speechless on the Brocklesby winners.
How far are we going back here now?
9-10 years.
No.
Bill Turner's got a tremendous record as well, if I remember rightly. He's won it about 7 times.
Yeah, love Bill. I mean, Bill's Bill's a fantastic trainer with 2-year-olds, and they're all hard. Obviously, they're not expensive types because that's not Bill. But they're all.
I wanted to have a look at here, and it's 80-1 actually, and that's Rocky Ends of Brett Johnson's. The thing that caught me eye was Gianni was booked early part of the week. It's one of the older ones in the race with a falling date 28th of Feb. Havana Grey, I think, probably make up into a reasonable say. Those fairly fast horses. And then I've had a look at Johnson's comments, actually, in the post. He said he'll learn a lot from the race and hopefully he can run mid-sailor. I do think he's a nice horse. I don't really have any sprinters that can work with him at home. He's honest and he tries. Well, some of these will be absolute spoke monkeys anyway, so if this looks all right, I might chuck a couple of bob at it. It's about 80s. Just depends whether it appeals to the eye in the paddock.
Yeah, good shout. I mean, what are we thinking about the ground tomorrow at Doncaster? Amazingly, it was 6.4 yesterday, 6.3 today, probably due in the ground when he took the stick reading. But with 2 in drying days, it's got to be good on it, Quentin, surely.
I've worked off, 17, 18 up by you guys and Donny. I've worked off the basis of good ground, to be honest. And
yeah,
if it's not good ground, then it's not good ground. I'm kind of playing cautiously, very cautiously tomorrow at Donny. I think Sunday's card's a better punting card, to be fair.
Yeah.
In terms of the Brocklesby, I thought it was an interesting race. Favourite's short. I'm probably going to end up laying the favourite. I don't care if it's a machine or a rocket, whatever. I think you got enough from pedigrees running for you. Johnston's, like you said, it's got first time out winners in the page. You've got the David Evans horse. That's got a fair few first time out 2-year-old winners in the page. There'll be some no hopers in there, but if I can get it in the book at about levels, then I'll be happy with that and happy to take a stance against it for small money. Persian Forces half brother, I think it was half brother, won first time out last year at Leicester, put up a massive performance, Gubbers, with I think it's like a 1.5 stone sectional upgrade or something. But no, I'm going to have a small layer of the Jolly in the Brocklesby. That'll be my turf opener.
Yeah, here's one for Nev. The Jolly Nev's odds on 10-11. Nev, got to be a lay on it. All the newcomers.
Oh, I'd said so, but whether you can lay it odds on is another matter. Because I think if all the layers feel the same, it's going to end up being pushed right out into it. You might have trouble laying it at 2-1. Hearts of Fire was the horse I was trying to remember. Italian Group 1 winner, the Grand Criterion in 2009, won the Brocklesby and then won an Italian Group 1. So just very quickly, I know we are tight for time. At the Curragh, there's the first 2-year-old race there. Am I right in saying that's the race that Jim Bolger runs every year? He runs a very good horse in, and I've noticed that he runs probably one of the best bred horses in his yard in the first race at the Curragh tomorrow, out of Finchgall Bio, called Finchgall Go Dio. And I'm sure he's run more than one of his classic winners in this race in previous years.
Went through the sales, 500,000 as a yearling. 500,000. Yeah,
not much, really.
No, it's a bit different. It's a bit different to some of the scrap in the Brocklesby at 3,500. But yeah, it's an interesting spot, Nev. That keep an eye on that one. Jim Bolger's in the first. I noticed he won it last year with Missing Matron, and obviously Jim does have a lot of his early 2-year-olds in really, really, really fit condition. So that's an interesting spot that if Jim likes that kind of race. Okay,
gives him a good breeze over 5 just after Mass on Christmas morning, doesn't he?
It's very hardy of Jim's horses, as we saw last year with Poetic Flair. We go on to 150 race at Doncaster, the Cammidge Trophy. Thoughts here, chaps?
Good, you have.
Don't you like it, John Garris?
Who trains it?
Charlie Hills.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm a strict time and form guru, and I just think like if you look at Diligent Harry, I'd be worried about him back on turf. I don't think he's going to be as good on turf. I've just got this feeling. Bielsa had one performance last year in the Gold Cup that stood out. Monda Medge, I think possibly he's a better horse over 5 because he's a bit of a nutcase. Just in the bottle doesn't get the 6 for me, not here, not properly. And Mo Salit had a brilliant last season, incredible story really, in a cellar and then running in a pre-Derby. Is just one hell of a story. But
I think it was more than one cellar, wasn't it? Wasn't it about 3 cellars she won?
Yeah, you could have bought her about 4 times, and then you stood in the parade ring at Longchamp as a 23-1 chance to win £178,000.
I don't dispute this has got an outstanding chance on form, but if I start a season backing Charlie Hills at 15-8, I'd have to kick me on.
Oh, look, I'm not advocating. If I'd have thought it'd be value, then I'd have tipped it up. I don't necessarily think it is. I just think it's the right head of the market. Whether it floats your boat is another matter. Anything to add on that, chap?
I think you nailed it. Truth be told, I had Garrison at 11-10 when chalking up the race. I think he's a bet at 15-8, 7-4. Yeah. Best form on the Brook, goes well fresh. You got doubts about everything in the race, as you say. Diligent Harry, he flopped on soft ground, but I've worked off a good ground here. Tomorrow, he'll get a pace to aim at, just another bottle. We'll set the fractions. I didn't think there was much not to like. It's piss weak, isn't it? Even for a listed race at this stage of the season, it's weak. I thought 7-4, 15-8 was more than fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously some of those efforts last season in the Group 1s, the only beaten 3 lengths to Emiratiana, 3 lengths behind Starman in the July Cup, 2 lengths behind Dream of Dreams at Ascot in the Cork and Horrible. It's kind of strong form for listed level when you're taking on an Air Gold Cup winner, a horse that's predominantly bet on the all weather, a Great St Wilfrid winner, an Anthony Britton horse, Keith Dalgleish handicapper, and a filly that had the season of a life last season. Probably in your camp, Quentin, to be honest. But John can't have Charlie, and I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that either. Anyway, we're going to move swiftly on to the 225. We're pushed for time. The Spring Mile Handicap. Unbelievable, gentlemen. 9 runners is the lowest on record. The lowest before this was 16, and we've got 9 runners. What are we saying about the state of British racing?
We're assholes, aren't we?
See, you don't need to add to that. It's just more or less somebody. So, yeah.
If you can't get a decent size field for 23 large, and on the first day of the season, it's setting more alarm bells going than anything, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but sadly, no one sits up and listens, do they? It's still the same, isn't it? Same old, no, let's not put prize money into it. All the horses are going abroad. I think I saw yourself and Lydia messaging about it yesterday. Like 9 runner field is desperate. It's desperate stuff.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of it this summer as well. There's a dearth of lack of depth of good horses, in the sort of 90s range. You'll get some progressive 3-year-olds this season that'll push that bar up a little bit, but they can't run every sort of meeting on a Saturday. So I think we're going to see some strange runners, like the good old days, John. You'll get Linda Ramsden sneaking in the bottom of the handicap of 64.
The clock goes forward an hour tomorrow. I mean, if you knock the clock forward a couple of years, we could all end up looking for 5-year-olds carrying less than 8 stone in the Lincoln. So it used to be a cracking system when I were a lad.
Yeah, I know. We seem to be going full circle. Any views here? I found this impossible.
I was with you. It was tricky, trappy, just a horrible race to get a grip on.
Yeah, Long Alice has them ready. I think his will run well, but that's about it.
Yeah. Nev, any view here?
Well, had it been over a little bit further, I was quite fancied General Lee. I think he's extremely consistent and has out of most of the field, has probably got more progression in him. For me, it's just the wrong time to be betting, because you don't know, first of all, how straight they are. I mean, you assume that a Paul Cole horse is going to be pretty fit, but there's nothing like having a run under your belt, and there's half the field have already been out. So I couldn't have a bet. But if I had to choose, I think generally he could be a pretty good horse come the end of the season. If he can handle the straight mile, I'm not sure whether I think he probably wants a little bit further, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he does get further. I think the key to him, Nev, in all honesty, I think is since they put blinkers on him, he's found a nice consistency. And he obviously is a horse that enjoys the blinds, whatever spooked him before, but he's a completely different horse since they did that. Very progressive last season, so you wouldn't rule that out in a race that really is full of exposed types. So if I'm like Nev, I think if someone got a gun to my head, it would be General Lee, I think. But certainly one for gin and pate, that race. 3 o'clock is the Doncaster Mile. Just forego, traditionally a small field, so I'm not going to slag the field size off for this, because traditionally it is quite a small field affair. I viewed it as that if the real Chindit from the Guineas turned up, then nothing's going to beat Chindit really. But I did feel that Busala isn't too far away from improving significantly for this step up in trip. When you consider the official ratings, Chindit 112, Busala 104. And I thought Busala would improve, a good few pounds for stepping up. Maybe 107, 108 maybe for the mile. That gets you closer to Chindit, putting more pressure on. And at the prices, that's where I rested. I felt that Busala around the 4-1 was a better play than taking 8-11 Chindit, which you would need to be taking 8-11 Chindit. You would need to know that Chindit is going to be something towards his best, not like latter end of last season where I thought he was a bit dead. Any thoughts on this, chaps?
I'm going to disagree to a certain point with you there. I actually think he doesn't even need to bring his A game. He can probably bring his worst performance of last season, and still win. I think, though, he's dropped down to listed class for the first time for his first run this season. You look at his runs; he got beat 3 lengths behind Palace Pier at Deauville. That would have been far and away. There's nothing in this race that could even contemplate running in a race like that. His win in the Greenham was far better than anything else. He took in the Guineas as the St James's Palace. I think he's as near to a good thing as you could get. But of course, it's 169 days since we last saw him, so I couldn't back him at odds on. But no. I don't think there's anything in this race that could even live with him if he's even his worst ever performance. I'm just looking here at the Racing Post ratings. He's never performed less than, obviously, his debut. It's very hard to rate a horse that highly on the debut, because you can only rate them about what you've run against. But he's never, in all these other runs, he's never really gone beyond 106. So the others have got to improve to even match probably his worst efforts. So I think it's a good thing. But I don't bet odds on, so it wouldn't interest me.
No, I have to take your point on board. I mean, like you say, some of the time figures last year, early season especially, were astonishing compared to these. Quentin, John, you anything to add on this?
Yeah, this race pissed me off no end when I saw the declaration, and will continue to piss me off till about 4 o'clock tomorrow night, I would imagine. But firstly, I mean, I think Chindit's probably going to win it. And then we'll have the cannon waving it round in the winner's enclosure, saying he's going to go well in the Queen Anne and all the rest of it. And we all know that'll be the one win this season. The other part that's really, really pissed me off, and I could set about Roger Varian with a baseball bat, is that he's running Royal Champion in this. I was absolutely gagging for him to lay this out for the Hunt Cup. I thought this was tailor-made for a Hunt Cup lunge, and seeing it turning up in this, I'm absolutely gutted.
Because this will probably run well, and then it'll be off down the.
I wanted it to turn up fresh, First time up, Hunt Cup, and it was going to be bang, have what you want. But sadly, Rog hasn't played ball.
Roger the bastard. Right, we'll move on to Quentin's thoughts. Any thoughts here, Quentin?
Shindit's the right favourite, goes well off a break, big figures on the clock. Ross Orion's upgrade on Pat Dobbs, 8-11 looks right though, doesn't it? Royal Champions, got ability. I'm not really sure a small field will suit him. Sala can upgrade. Not having a bet, won't have a bet. That's about it from me.
Yeah, no, fair play. Could be an extended gin and pate session for me tomorrow on them two races. Okay, we'll move on to the Lincoln then, and I'll sit this one out because I've already spoken. So you three go and tell me where I'm wrong on the Lincoln.
You are right with the Lincoln. I like Road Bear a lot. I've got some extensive notes on him. I think, like you said with Nottingham, hard to make up ground. I think he hated the course. Well, on both occasions, he kind of rolled around, hit the ridges, and just took ages to get organised. I think Donny's going to suit him a lot better. Straight track, speed, high draw. He's 21 on the machine at the moment. He's not got the class at the top of the market, but he's better than there's absolutely no doubt he's better than an 87 rated horse. He's strong on the clock as well, some upgrades in there to boot. I'm surprised he's not kicking around 10, 8-1 in that sort of realm. Realm.
I was like you, yeah. I think he's the one that's probably just a little bit unexplored in the race.
I see that David Barron has now got his daughter holding half the licence as well. I didn't realise that. David and Nicola Barron, they've got a runner. But that aside, Mujtaba is a spare ride for Kieran Fallon with Adam Farraher having broken his foot after a spill on the gallops. And this horse could be anything, rated 98, you just wouldn't know. But William Haggis's record in the Lincoln, 3 wins in, I don't know, in a dozen years or something, must obviously, you have to be scared stiff of whatever he runs, and he runs 3. I thought his horse, Amethyst, ran really well in the Cambridgeshire. All right, he's been raised £2 for that, but he's got a big field experience, whereas Mujtaba, who's going to probably go off either favourite or second favourite, has just got novice wins to his name. It's just like all the rest of the flat. It's difficult because so many are seeing racecourse for the first time. I think it's very brave of Godolphin, Charlie Appleby, to put up Harry Davis on Modern News. Harry has yet to ride on the turf, yet he gets put on a horse with a solid chance in the Lincoln. But I suppose having your father being work rider for Charlie Appleby, it's maybe there's a bit of nepotism in there. Anyway, good luck to him.
Didn't last year's winner, wasn't that his Benoit Delasette? Wasn't that his first spin?
Yeah, but he was on
as
drugs.
Well. Aren't they all?
The Colombian, the finest Colombian as well for Benoit. Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, you're right. He was. And he probably had a bit more experience than this Harry Davis as well. Benoit.
Yeah. I love that from Nev. Brilliant. Yes, John, have you any thoughts on Lincoln?
I just think the race will be run to suit Hearts of Dare, placed last year, bit of value, 33.
Yeah, big price for a horse that ran so well in it last year. I believe it traded odds on in it, or it was.
Yeah, it's about £9 lower, I think, this year. So.
Yeah, like I say, if he bounces back, like you said, one of those for the.
Well, Misery got to have it ready, won't he? So.
Yeah, no, fair shout at long odds. Race is probably more depth, but that's why you get in the price you are. Right, I'll move to Kempton, 205. Very tricky race. I felt the fancy man favourite 7-4 to win the Magnolia. Again, it's another race I was sitting out. Once I saw Felix in it, it's like, it's not Felix. It's one of them, you go hard, Felix has got a big chance. You go slow, well, we've got Felix beat. And that was sort of it. I just thought, I have no appetite for the race. What did you chaps think?
It's the inner loop, isn't it, at Kempton, over 12, which is likely going to help front end. You can see Felix sitting out wide. I don't think they'll go hard. If Forhammer Hampton's got any sense, he'll sit pretty from 1 and just try and control things, either just behind a steady pace or make the pace himself. King of Jazz has got the hood first time. I thought that was interesting given his all-weather form. It wasn't a race I was bouncing to have a bet on. King of the South was just behind Fancy Man a couple of lengths. Where was that? Lingfield 2 starts back. £3 swing in the weights, but the course and the price doesn't really appeal. It's Fancy Man's to lose. It was 11 to 4, 5 to 2 in a week. It's probably now the right price at 13 to 8. That's about it.
Yep. Anybody anything else to say?
Well, the Cannon will probably win it, won't he? And that'll be the double. With Chindich, same owner.
For Pescod, same owners. Yeah.
That ginger bastard on the betting only better, he's gone for the double, and the blogger double. yeah. Because
Nev, anything here for you?
I'll be sitting this one out for sure. Fancy Man's a good horse, isn't he? But his penalty makes life a little bit more difficult for him. And really, on official ratings, he's got a pound to find with Felix. Who I do rate the jockey Daniel Muscat. I think he is superb. I think it's going to be his year this year.
Yeah, lovely pair of hands, which will be giving tribute to Jimmy Lindley on our Sunday sermon, so don't miss that on Sunday. Poor old Jimmy Lindley passed away this week, and we'll talk more on Sunday about that. We'll move on to the 240, the Unibet Queen's Prize. I am obviously all over Bandinelli. It's my nap. I'm leaving it at that. Anything in here for you, chaps?
By Frankel out of Ramruma, Imperium must be one of the best bred horses on show. Late foal, falls on the 14th of June, which is very late for a flatbred. I think he might. He loves the course, doesn't he? And he's rock solid, stays well.
He does,
race.
9 to 2. Yeah, 9 to 2. Obviously, with the money for Bandinelli, the weakness in the rest is forcing value. Quentin, thoughts?
The favourite's the right favourite, and he's definitely better than Mark and 95. I'm going to take a swing at one, win only, probably on the machine at like 33 to 1 or something at the off. Suitably impressed with Pistoletto last time out in the Winter Derby. They clocked the big old number, as we've discussed previously.
Yeah,
the trip's an obvious concern. He's Warfront out of a Woodman mare, but he travels, he switches off, and with the cheek pieces off, I think there's every chance of him getting this. He's worth a small win-only play. I'm going to have a small win-only play on him. I think he's capable and better than a horse rated 93.
Good stuff, Quentin. John, anything to add?
Topical tip, Hiroshima.
We love bringing some doom and gloom. I love that. Yeah. Good old Hiroshima. Why do you like that, John?
Well, it's quite apt in the current climate, I thought.
Yeah, 22 to 1. So some pin stickers there from Quentin and John at 22s and 33s, Pistoletta. Good luck with that. Right, chaps, any other business? So we'll move on to Dubai or any other business elsewhere for the weekend. Nev, anything else you want to add that you like? Anywhere, it could be anywhere. Kelso, anything you'd like to add?
No. I think it's disappointing. Like we're at the peak of the jump season, and there's only two national hunt meetings.
Yeah,
it's not great, is it?
I mean,
small fields, but I think Maidan looks exciting, doesn't it? But it's just littered with foreign horses, and I don't know the worth of some of those.
I'll kick us off then. I'll kick us off at Maidan. Some of my thoughts. Al Nefud at 9 to 4 I thought was pretty amazing because I think that's a good price because it ties in with the horse that runs in the Dubai Cup, Hot Rod Charlie, that's second favourite to life. He's good. I thought 9 to 4 was very fair because he had a tough wide trip under Brian Moore. Gets the leading track jockey Ty O'Shea in the saddle, inside draw, 9 to 4 for that, surely solid. I'm perplexed why they keep running Manobo over 2 miles. He beat Adair over 1.5 miles. I'm fed up that they've decided, well, we'll make him into a Gold Cup horse or a stayer when he's got enough speed to destroy them over 1.5 miles. Very frustrating. 2 to 1 on, he'll probably win, but I'm just pissed off with that horse. I thought the Dubai World Cup, the favourite, was an absolute certainty at 8 to 11. Inside draw, goes to the front, absolutely much the best. Beat Nick's Go. who was previously considered the best in the world on dirt, etc., etc. How does that get beat? 8-11 is fair for me. I know it's short, but 8-11, I'd rather be a backer than a layer at 8-11. Chaps, did you buy anybody?
I was with you. Hot Rail draw one, about point and shoot job, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah. I
know liquidity's not what it used to be. Okay in running liquidity at Maidan. It's not so much now, but sticking some short price lays if you want to trade out of it. But it looks like finding it in the street. I thought the Japanese one was the one to beat in the Dubai Turf. Lord North, big figure last time out, but he's not taking on a horse of this class. The one I really liked was Alenka. I know we discussed him. We were all kind of against him last time out at Lingfield. We thought Lingfield would be too sharp. I think he was only half fit as well. A step back up in trip, galloping track. Monster figure on the clock at Lingfield, and there's still more to come from him. I think he's double figures kicking about. I think that's a chunk overpriced. Don't particularly like your beer in the race. There's not much I do like in the race, to be honest. I'd have him in as second favourite.
Good stuff. So Alan Kerr, at a generous 10-1 for Quentin in the Dubai Shima. John, anything for you?
I think Alenka's really fairly priced as well. I think he's got an excellent H-way chance. I fancied Real World to do well on this surface last time. I like fast ground horses on dirt. It doesn't seem to have found out very, very well for him last time. And I watched an interview with Dusty, and he said it was because he missed the break. I can't really have it that was the reason. I just didn't think he liked it at all. I couldn't have another dip. I'm swerving that race. I did think Baron Samedi might run well against Manobo at about 10-1, sporting each way choice. Bit of a float up last time. I think he'll probably be second or third. Like Manobo's obviously a beast. So again, I might stick back to maybe in a H-way lucky 31 or something like that, but I couldn't be all over him really.
No, good stuff. Any other business elsewhere, chaps?
In the 5:30 at Wolverhampton, I didn't particularly like the short price favourite put after the rain in at 5-4. She's bred to improve for the trip, but she's drawn 12 with George Rook on, and she just hung all the way down the straight and looked awkward at Southall last time out. She'll be one I'm trying to get in the book. I'm yet to really go through the nuts and bolts of the race, but I thought it was interesting. Corsini, someone was asking for some money at 4-1 as soon as the Betfair market went up. Yesterday at some stage, and I'm not sure whether it got laid or not, but that caught the eye. But no, after the rain, that's one I want to be against.
Yeah, she's an absolute cowbag. I totally agree, Quentin. I think she'll drift badly. She's awful. She is. Yeah, good stuff. John, Nev, anything else?
No, I think we've covered all what I need to do.
Yes. I've actually sucked a pint of margarita out of a plastic jug.
There you go. That's how to do it on Bar Stewards. We don't mess about here. Nothing done by halves. That's all from me, John, Quentin and Nev this week. We hope you've enjoyed that, and we're going to line your pockets with silver. We're back for the sermon on Sunday as always. Plenty of talking points, and obviously the tribute to the deceased Jimmy Linley, former commentator and class jockey of the BBC of the past. So join us for that. That's all from us. Bye for now.